Mexico, a country where turquoise cenotes plunge into the earth like liquid gems, where ancient pyramids pierce jungle canopies older than Rome, and where desert landscapes burn copper and gold under skies so vast they seem to swallow the horizon whole. This is Mexico, a land where every province holds secrets that would make other nations weep with envy. From the moment Spanish conquistadors first glimpsed these shores, they knew they'd stumbled upon something extraordinary. But what they couldn't have imagined was the sheer scope of natural artistry waiting to be discovered. We're talking about a country that houses more UNESCO World Heritage Sites than most continents, where geology has sculpted masterpieces that defy explanation, and where human civilizations built monuments so precise they still baffle engineers today. In the next few minutes, you're about to witness 12 wonders that will redefine what you think you know about beauty. These aren't just pretty places, they're phenomena. Places where tectonic forces, ancient cultures, and raw natural power have collaborated across millennia to create something that can only be described as otherworldly. From underground rivers that run for hundreds of miles to pink lakes that look like alien landscapes, from colonial cities that seem frozen in time to coral reefs that pulse with more life than entire rainforests. So buckle up, we're about to take you on a journey through Mexico's most jaw-dropping wonders. 12 places so stunning, so unique, so absolutely magnificent that once you see them, you'll never look at our planet the same way again. Number 12. Hierve el Agua. In the mountains of Oaxaca, nature has been working as a sculptor for over 2,500 years, and the result is nothing short of miraculous. Hierve el Agua, literally the water boils, appears to be a massive frozen waterfall cascading down a cliff face. But here's the twist, it's not water at all. It's pure limestone, deposited grain by grain over millennia by mineral-rich springs that bubble up from deep underground. Standing at the edge of this geological wonder, you're looking at what happens when chemistry meets artistry on an epic scale. The springs that feed this formation are loaded with calcium carbonate and magnesium, and as the water evaporates under the intense Mexican sun, it leaves behind these mineral deposits that have slowly built up into structures that look exactly like frozen waterfalls. The formations stretch over 50 meters down the cliff face, creating cascading terraces that catch the light like crystalline steps. But Hierve el Agua isn't just about the petrified waterfalls. The springs themselves create a series of natural infinity pools perched on the edge of the cliff, where you can soak in mineral-rich waters while gazing out over the Oaxacan valley that stretches endlessly below. The water temperature stays constant year-round at around 25 degrees Celsius, heated by geothermal activity deep underground. The views from here are absolutely staggering. You're standing at 1,800 meters above sea level, looking out over a landscape that seems to go on forever. Rolling hills covered in agave plants, traditional villages dotting the valley floor, and mountain ranges that fade into purple haze on the horizon. The contrast between the white limestone formations and the deep blue of the sky creates a visual impact that's almost overwhelming. What makes this place even more extraordinary is its rarity. There are only a handful of similar formations in the world, and none quite like this. The combination of the right mineral content, the right temperature, the right elevation, and the right climate conditions has created something that took nature over 2 millennia to build, and continues to grow by millimeters each year. Number 11. Sumidero Canyon. Cut deep into the heart of Chiapas, the Sumidero Canyon is a geological masterpiece that will make you question everything you thought you knew about the power of water. This isn't just a canyon, it's a monument to the relentless force of the Grijalva River, which has spent millions of years carving through limestone and dolomite to create vertical walls that soar over 1,000 meters straight up from the water. The numbers alone are staggering. The canyon stretches for 35 kilometers, with walls so sheer and so tall that when you're floating down the river at the bottom, you feel like you're traveling through the center of the earth. But the real magic happens when you see how life has adapted to these extreme conditions. The walls are covered in a vertical ecosystem that changes dramatically as you move from the river level up to the rim, tropical vegetation at the bottom gradually giving way to pine forests at the top. But here's where it gets truly spectacular. The canyon is home to one of Mexico's most important wildlife sanctuaries. As you drift down the river, you'll spot massive American crocodiles sunning themselves on the banks, some reaching lengths of over 4 meters. Above, spider monkeys swing through the trees, while hundreds of bird species, including toucans and parrots, create a symphony that echoes off the canyon walls. The rock formations themselves tell a story millions of years in the making. The limestone layers are so clearly defined that you can read the geological history like pages in a book. Some sections show fossilized marine life, remnants from when this entire region was underwater. Others display the telltale signs of tectonic activity that lifted these layers skyward before the river began its patient work of cutting them down. What makes Sumidero Canyon truly unforgettable is the way it combines raw geological power with incredible biodiversity. The microclimate created by the canyon's depth and orientation has allowed species to thrive here that exist nowhere else in the region. The interplay of light and shadow as the sun moves across the sky transforms the canyon walls throughout the day, creating an ever-changing display of colors and textures that photographers and filmmakers have tried for decades to capture adequately. Number 10. Pico de Orizaba. Rising like a sleeping giant above the eastern Sierra Madre, Pico de Orizaba commands respect from every angle. At 5,636 meters, this is not just Mexico's highest peak, it's the third highest mountain in North America and the world's highest volcano. But calling it simply a mountain doesn't do justice to what you're actually looking at. A massive stratovolcano whose perfectly symmetrical cone shape has been sculpted by hundreds of thousands of years of eruptions, weather and time. The first thing that strikes you about Pico de Orizaba is its sheer dominance of the landscape. On a clear day, you can see this mountain from over 100 kilometers away, its snow-capped summit floating above the clouds like something from another world. The locals call it Citlaltépetl, which means Star Mountain in Nahuatl, and once you see it piercing the sky, you understand why. It literally looks like it's reaching for the stars. What makes this mountain truly extraordinary is its ecological diversity. As you ascend from the tropical forests at its base, you pass through distinct climate zones that each support completely different ecosystems. The lower slopes are carpeted in lush cloud forests where orchids and bromeliads cling to moss-covered trees. Higher up, you enter alpine meadows filled with wildflowers that bloom in brilliant displays during the brief summer months. But it's the glacier at the summit that truly sets Pico de Orizaba apart. This is one of the last remaining glaciers in Mexico, a remnant of the ice age that continues to shape the mountain's character. The glacier, called the Glacier de Jamapa, feeds rivers that flow both toward the Gulf of Mexico and the Pacific Ocean, making this mountain a continental divide in the most literal sense. The climbing experience here is unlike anywhere else in Mexico. The final push to the summit takes you across a landscape that looks more like Antarctica than tropical Mexico. Crevassed ice fields, razor-sharp ridges, and views that stretch from the Gulf Coast to the volcanic peaks of central Mexico. Standing on the summit, you're looking down on an entire country with the curvature of the Earth visible on the horizon. Number 9. Monarch Butterfly Biosphere Reserve. Every winter, something truly magical happens in the mountains of Michoacán that just defies belief. Over 100 million monarch butterflies complete one of nature's most incredible journeys, traveling over 4,000 kilometers from Canada and the United States to gather in a handful of forests that cover less than 56 square kilometers. What you're witnessing here isn't just migration, it's one of the most spectacular natural phenomena on Earth. The numbers, honestly, they're almost impossible to comprehend. These butterflies cluster so densely on the Oyamel fir trees that entire branches bend under their weight. A single tree can host millions of butterflies, creating what looks like living, breathing foliage that shifts and moves in waves of orange and black. When the morning sun hits these clusters, the butterflies begin to warm up and take flight, creating clouds of wings that can darken the sky and fill the air with the sound of millions of tiny wings beating in unison. But here's what makes this phenomenon truly extraordinary. The butterflies that make this journey have never been here before. The generation that arrives in Mexico is the great-great-grandchildren of the butterflies that left these same forests the previous spring. Somehow, through mechanisms that scientists still don't fully understand, these insects navigate thousands of kilometers using a combination of the sun's position, magnetic fields, and genetic memory to find forests they've never seen. The microclimate of these mountain forests is crucial to the butterflies' survival. The altitude, temperature, and humidity create perfect conditions for the butterflies to enter a state of semi-hibernation that allows them to survive the winter months. The Oyamel firs provide not just shelter but also protection from predators and the ideal temperature regulation that keeps the butterflies from using up their energy reserves. Walking through these forests during peak season is like stepping into a living kaleidoscope. The forest floor is carpeted with butterflies that have fallen, not dead, but in deep dormancy. Above, the canopy moves with an almost hypnotic rhythm as millions of wings catch and reflect the filtered sunlight. The sound is unlike anything else in nature, a constant gentle whisper that seems to come from the forest itself. Number 8. Cabo Pulmo. In the crystal-clear waters off the tip of Baja California, a miracle of marine conservation has created what many consider the most successful coral reef recovery story in the world. Cabo Pulmo National Marine Park protects the northernmost coral reef in the eastern Pacific, but what makes this place truly extraordinary is not just what it is, it's what it became after being given a chance to heal. 25 years ago, this reef was dying. Decades of overfishing had stripped the ecosystem bare, leaving behind a ghost town of bleached coral and empty water. But in 1995, the local fishing community made a decision that would change everything. They banned all fishing in the area and committed to protecting the reef. What happened next was nothing short of miraculous. Today, Cabo Pulmo boasts fish populations that are over 460% higher than they were before protection began. The reef has exploded back to life in a way that has marine biologists from around the world coming to study what they call the Cabo Pulmo miracle. Schools of fish so dense they block out the sun move through the water like living tornadoes. Bull sharks, hammerheads, and whale sharks cruise the deeper waters, while sea turtles nest on the beaches in numbers not seen for decades. The coral formations themselves are architectural marvels. These are hard corals that have been building their calcium carbonate skeletons for thousands of years, creating underwater cities that rise from the sea floor like ancient temples. The structures are so complex and varied that they support an incredible diversity of marine life, from tiny nudibranchs that look like living jewels to massive groupers that can weigh over 200 kilograms. What makes diving or snorkeling here truly unforgettable is the sheer abundance of life. Every square meter of reef is teeming with activity. Parrotfish crunch on coral, their feeding sounds clearly audible underwater. Moorish idols glide past in perfect formation while schools of jacks spiral up from the depths like underwater tornadoes. The water visibility often exceeds 30 meters, giving you views that stretch into the deep blue where larger predators patrol the edge of the reef. Number 7. Xochimilco. In the heart of Mexico City, a network of ancient canals and floating gardens tells the story of one of the world's most ingenious agricultural systems. Xochimilco, the place of flowers in Nahuatl, is the last remaining piece of a vast lake system that once covered the entire Valley of Mexico. But calling it simply a historical site doesn't capture the living, breathing ecosystem that continues to thrive here against all odds. The chinampas, or floating gardens, are masterpieces of ancient engineering that still function exactly as they did 600 years ago. These aren't actually floating, they're artificial islands created by weaving together reeds and water plants, then anchoring them to the lake bottom with willow trees whose roots bind the entire structure together. The result is incredibly fertile agricultural land that produces multiple crops per year without any need for irrigation, since the plants draw water directly from the lake. What makes Xochimilco truly extraordinary is how it functions as both a working agricultural system and a crucial ecological sanctuary. The canals are home to the axolotl, a salamander found nowhere else on Earth that has become one of the most important animals in medical research due to its ability to regenerate entire limbs. These waters also support over 100 species of migratory birds, making it one of the most important wetlands in central Mexico. But the real magic happens when you glide through the canals on a trajinera, the brightly painted boats that have been the primary mode of transportation here for centuries. As you drift through the maze of waterways, you're surrounded by a landscape that seems to exist outside of time. Farmers tend their crops on islands that appear to float on the water, while herons and egrets hunt in the shallows. The walls of the canals are lined with ahuejote trees that create living tunnels of green, their roots helping to stabilize the banks while their canopy provides shade and habitat for countless species. The contrast between this ancient landscape and the modern city that surrounds it is striking. As you float through the canals, you can see the skyscrapers of Mexico City rising in the distance. But here in Xochimilco, the pace of life follows rhythms that have remained unchanged for centuries. The sound of traffic fades away, replaced by the splash of paddles, the calls of birds, and the gentle lapping of water against the chinampas. Number 6. Siancan Biosphere Reserve. Along the Caribbean coast of the Yucatan Peninsula, where the jungle meets the sea, lies one of Mexico's most pristine and biodiverse ecosystems. Siancan, meaning origin of the sky in Maya, encompasses over 500,000 hectares of tropical forests, wetlands and coral reefs that function as a single interconnected ecosystem. This is wilderness on a scale that's almost impossible to comprehend, where jaguars hunt along beaches where sea turtles nest, and where underground rivers surface as crystal-clear lagoons before flowing into the second-largest coral reef system in the world. The sheer diversity of habitats here is staggering. In a single day, you can move from dense tropical rainforest where howler monkeys roar in the canopy, to mangrove swamps where crocodiles bask in the sun, to pristine beaches where loggerhead turtles dig their nests in the sand. The lagoons and cenotes scattered throughout the reserve are so clear that you can see 30 meters down to the bottom, where ancient stalactites and stalagmites create underwater cathedrals. And just when you think it can't get better, wait until you see number 1. But what makes Siancan truly extraordinary is how all these ecosystems work together. The rivers that flow through the jungle carry nutrients that feed the mangroves, which in turn filter the water that flows out to the coral reefs. The reefs protect the coastline from storms, while the beaches provide nesting sites for sea turtles whose eggs feed the forest animals. It's a perfect example of how nature creates balance when left undisturbed. The Maya ruins scattered throughout the reserve add another layer of wonder to this already incredible landscape. These ancient cities, now partially reclaimed by the jungle, show how human civilizations once lived in harmony with these ecosystems. The temples and pyramids that rise from the forest floor are home to toucans and parrots, while the ball courts and plazas have become gathering places for troops of spider monkeys. If this journey has already left you breathless, hit that subscribe button. We're only halfway through, and what's coming next will redefine everything you thought you knew about natural beauty. Number 5. Paracutan Volcano. In 1943, a farmer named Dionisio Pulido was working in his cornfield, when all of a sudden, the earth began to crack and hiss beneath his feet. By the end of that day, a volcano had been born, and by the end of the year, it had grown to over 300 meters tall. Paracutan is the youngest volcano in the Western Hemisphere, and honestly, witnessing its perfectly preserved cinder cone rising from the agricultural landscape of Michoacán is like looking at the raw, creative power of our planet. What makes Paracutan absolutely unique is that it's the only volcano in modern history whose birth was witnessed and documented from the very beginning. Scientists from around the world flocked to study this geological miracle as it literally grew before their eyes. The volcano was active for 9 years, eventually reaching a height of 424 meters and burying 2 entire towns, Paracutan and San Juan Parangaricutiro, under millions of tons of lava and ash. The landscape around Paracutan today is, well, just otherworldly. The volcano's perfect cone shape dominates the horizon, its dark slopes contrasting sharply with the green agricultural fields that surround it. The lava flows have created a moonscape of black rock that stretches for kilometers, where only the hardiest plants have managed to take root. Walking across these lava fields is like walking on another planet. The rock is so fresh that it's still sharp enough to cut through your shoes, and the formations created by the flowing lava have been preserved exactly as they were when the eruption ended. But the most haunting sight is the church tower of San Juan Parangaricutiro, which rises from the lava field like a stone monument to the power of nature. This is all that remains visible of the buried town, its bell tower standing as a testament to the lives that were changed forever when the earth decided to create a mountain in their backyard. The sight of this lone tower, surrounded by black volcanic rock with the perfect cone of Paracutan rising behind it, is one of the most photographed and emotionally powerful landscapes in Mexico. The climb to the summit of Paracutan takes you across lava fields that crunch under your feet like broken glass, then up slopes of loose volcanic cinder that slide away with each step. But the view from the top is worth every difficult step. You're standing on the rim of a crater that was literally created from nothing within living memory, looking out over a landscape that shows the incredible power of geological forces in action. Beneath the limestone surface of the Yucatan Peninsula lies one of the world's most extensive underwater cave systems, a network of flooded tunnels and chambers that stretches for thousands of kilometers. The cenotes are windows into this hidden world, circular pools of crystal-clear water that the ancient Maya believed were portals to the underworld. Today, we know there's something even more extraordinary: gateways to the longest underwater cave system on Earth. The formation of these cenotes is a geological story millions of years in the making. The entire Yucatan Peninsula is essentially a massive limestone platform that was created by ancient coral reefs. Over millions of years, slightly acidic rainwater dissolved the limestone, creating an intricate network of caves and tunnels. When the sea level rose at the end of the last ice age, these caves flooded, creating the underwater river system we see today. But it's not just their geological significance that makes the cenotes so incredible, it's their otherworldly beauty. Descending into a cenote is like entering a natural cathedral. The water is so clear that you can see over 100 meters in any direction, and the limestone formations create architectural marvels that dwarf anything humans have ever built. Stalactites hang from the ceiling like chandeliers, while stalagmites rise from the floor like ancient columns. The interplay of light and shadow creates an atmosphere that's both serene and awe-inspiring. The biodiversity found in these underwater caves is unlike anywhere else on Earth. Blind fish that have evolved without eyes navigate these eternal darkness using other senses. Tiny crustaceans found nowhere else in the world scurry along the cave walls, while unique species of bacteria create formations that look like underwater flowers. The deeper you go into the cave system, the more alien the environment becomes. What makes diving in these cenotes truly unforgettable is the sensation of flying through liquid space. The water is so clear and the visibility so perfect that you lose all sense of up and down. You're floating through chambers larger than cathedrals, following underwater rivers that have been flowing in darkness for millions of years. The silence is absolute, except for the sound of your own breathing, and the formations around you are so perfect they seem almost artificial. 4 times larger than the Grand Canyon and significantly deeper, the Copper Canyon system of Chihuahua is a geological masterpiece that will challenge everything you thought you knew about the scale of natural beauty. This isn't just one canyon, it's a network of 6 distinct canyons carved by 6 different rivers, creating a landscape so vast and complex that it took decades for explorers to fully map its extent. The canyons get their name from the copper-green color of the lichen that grows on their walls, but the rock formations themselves display a spectrum of colors that changes dramatically with the light. At sunrise, the canyon walls glow orange and red, while at sunset they turn purple and gold. The depth of these canyons is almost impossible to comprehend. Some sections drop over 1,800 meters straight down, creating microclimates that range from desert conditions at the rim to subtropical forests at the bottom. What makes Copper Canyon truly extraordinary is the way it combines geological grandeur with incredible cultural richness. This is the homeland of the Tarahumara people, also known as the Raramuri, who have lived in these canyons for over 1,000 years. They've adapted to this vertical landscape in ways that seem almost superhuman, building their homes on cliff faces and developing a culture centered around long-distance running that has made them legendary among athletes worldwide. The train journey through Copper Canyon is one of the most spectacular rail rides in the world. The Ferrocarril Chihuahua Pacifico winds through the canyon system on a route that required 86 tunnels and 37 bridges to complete. As the train snakes along the canyon walls, you're treated to views that stretch for dozens of kilometers in every direction. The train crosses bridges that span gorges so deep you can't see the bottom, and passes through tunnels carved directly into the canyon walls. But it's when you get out and hike into the canyon system that you truly understand its scale. The trails lead down through different climate zones, from pine forests at the rim to tropical vegetation at the bottom. The deeper you go, the more the temperature rises and the more lush the vegetation becomes. Rivers that are barely visible from the rim reveal themselves to be substantial waterways that have been carving these canyons for millions of years. Rising from the Valley of Mexico like a monument to human ambition, Teotihuacan is the most architecturally sophisticated city ever built in the pre-Columbian Americas. But calling it simply an ancient city doesn't capture the scale of what you're looking at. This is a massive urban complex that was home to over 200,000 people at its peak, making it one of the largest cities in the world at the time. The precision of its layout, the sophistication of its engineering, and the sheer audacity of its pyramids continue to baffle archaeologists and engineers today. The Avenue of the Dead stretches for over 4 kilometers through the heart of the city, connecting the Pyramid of the Moon at the north end to the Ciudadela complex at the south. This isn't just a road, it's a carefully planned ceremonial boulevard that's perfectly aligned with astronomical phenomena. The entire city was laid out according to a master plan that incorporated complex mathematical and astronomical calculations that rival anything achieved by classical civilizations. But it's the pyramids that truly take your breath away. The Pyramid of the Sun is the third largest pyramid in the world, rising 65 meters above the valley floor. The precision of its construction is extraordinary. The base is perfectly square, and the entire structure is oriented to specific astronomical events. Recent discoveries have revealed that the pyramid was built around a natural cave system that the builders incorporated into the structure, possibly as a representation of the underworld. The Pyramid of the Moon, while smaller, is equally impressive in its sophistication. The structure was built in several stages over centuries, with each expansion adding new levels of architectural complexity. The view from the top of the pyramid reveals the full scope of the city's layout, showing how every building, every street, and every plaza was positioned according to a grand design that stretched across 20 square kilometers. What makes Teotihuacan truly extraordinary is the sophistication of its urban planning. The city had a complex drainage system, multi-story apartment buildings, and neighborhoods organized by profession and social status. The walls of many buildings are covered with murals that display an artistic sophistication that rivals the great civilizations of the Mediterranean. The Quetzalpopotl Palace complex showcases stone carvings and architectural details that demonstrate a level of craftsmanship that wouldn't be seen again in the Americas for centuries. At the heart of the Yucatan Peninsula stands what many consider the most perfect fusion of mathematics, astronomy, and architecture ever achieved by human civilization. Chichen Itza isn't just one of the new 7 wonders of the world, it's a testament to the incredible sophistication of Maya science and engineering that continues to reveal new secrets more than 1,000 years after its construction. The centerpiece of Chichen Itza is El Castillo, the massive step pyramid that seems to embody the entire cosmos in stone. This isn't just a building, it's a 3-dimensional calendar that tracks the movements of the sun, moon, and planets with incredible precision. The pyramid has 365 steps, one for each day of the year, and during the spring and autumn equinoxes, the play of light and shadow creates the illusion of a serpent descending the northern staircase, a phenomenon that draws thousands of visitors from around the world. But the astronomical precision of El Castillo goes far beyond this famous shadow play. The pyramid's orientation is perfectly aligned with the cardinal directions, and its proportions encode mathematical relationships that demonstrate the Mayas' sophisticated understanding of geometry and astronomy. The pyramid's height, when combined with the length of its shadow at specific times of day, can be used to calculate the exact latitude of Chichen Itza. The Great Ball Court at Chichen Itza is the largest and most acoustically perfect sports arena built in the pre-Columbian Americas. The court is 168 meters long and 70 meters wide, with walls that rise 12 meters high. The acoustic properties of the court are so perfect that a whisper at one end can be clearly heard at the other end, 150 meters away. The carvings on the walls depict the ritual ball game that was central to Maya civilization, showing players wearing elaborate protective gear and scenes that suggest the game had deep religious significance. The sacred cenote, a natural limestone sinkhole that's 60 meters in diameter, was one of the most important pilgrimage sites in the Maya world. Archaeological excavations have revealed thousands of offerings that were thrown into the cenote over centuries, including gold, jade, copal incense, and human remains. The cenote was believed to be a portal to the underworld, and the offerings were made to ensure the favor of the gods. What makes Chichen Itza truly extraordinary is how it represents the culmination of Maya achievement in multiple fields of knowledge. The site showcases their mastery of astronomy, mathematics, engineering, and art in ways that continue to inspire wonder and scholarly debate. The Temple of the Warriors, with its forest of columns and intricate carvings, demonstrates architectural techniques that wouldn't be seen in Europe for centuries. The observatory, known as El Caracol, contains windows that are precisely aligned to track the movements of Venus, which was central to Maya timekeeping and religious beliefs. From the mineral sculptures of Hierve el Agua to the astronomical precision of Chichen Itza, Mexico reveals itself as a country where nature and human achievement have created wonders that defy easy categorization. These 12 places represent more than just beautiful destinations. They're windows into the incredible forces that have shaped our planet and the civilizations that have called it home. What emerges from this journey is a portrait of a country that contains multitudes. Mexico is a place where ancient wisdom meets geological marvels, where ecosystems function as perfect symphonies of interdependence, and where human creativity has reached heights that continue to inspire wonder centuries later. Each of these wonders tells a story, not just of beauty, but of the incredible complexity and richness of our natural world. The butterflies that navigate thousands of kilometers to reach forests they've never seen, the coral reefs that recover from near extinction to become more vibrant than ever, the cenotes that reveal hidden worlds beneath our feet. These are reminders that our planet is still full of mysteries and marvels that can take your breath away. Mexico doesn't just contain these wonders, it celebrates them, protects them, and shares them with the world as gifts that belong to all of humanity. If this journey amazed you, subscribe and share it with someone who loves discovery. Some places you visit, others stay with you forever. Until the next destination, stay curious.